Welcome to the Waller Report, MMA Savvy exclusive. Listen, for all the sport fans, and especially the fight fans, baby, MMA Savvy is back once again. After our first episode in nearly 13 years, the sports world went into a frenzy, and we received overwhelmingly positive support of the show. I mentioned this last time, but we're officially relaunching the world famous Excuse the Savvy series, and today will be considered Excuse the Savvy Round 2 because last week was the first round. Okay, and of course, I am joined by our Excuse the Savvy co-host, Nico Takalakis. Nico, how excited are you to be back for round 2?
The Excuse the Savvy co-host is very excited to be back. All right, and we're in this middle week where we have a good card, maybe not the best card that just transpired, but there's a lot happening, we can't wait to unpack and dive into. It's an exciting time. I can't wait to just dig in.
Yeah, so I have talked to a lot of old Savvy friends. They were popping off. They can't believe that we've revived this miraculous show and series, and now it's Excuse the Savvy, baby.
It's back strong.
It's back strong. I hope people are excited for episode 2 today. And, excuse us that we're so knowledgeable. It's not our fault, baby.
Excuse the Savvies. Excuse the Savvies.
Yeah. So actually, this week we're going to jump straight into it because we've already gone through the backstory. We got a lot of cards. We're going to go just so people remember how we run the show, okay? We always go 2 weeks. Since it's a bi-monthly, we go 2 weeks back. We analyze. We talk about the hot news, the state of the MMA world, divisional analysis, your favorite part. 205 is going to be hot today.
Yes, absolutely.
And then we go 2 weeks ahead. We plow the picks, and then we dance to the tune one more time. Okay, so with that, we got to talk about Cejudo versus Song. Now, listen, I already analyzed this card pretty well in the last week's episode. So the only thing that we need to do is count up our official Savvy picks, baby, which you're not going to be happy about.
No.
So, and then I'm also going to I want to make a statement on Gene Silva, who I did not. So here's the weird thing, and this will happen once in a while. Sometimes the picks that we made are a couple weeks ahead, and then Dana last second, he moves things from the prelims to the main card. You see how Cutelaba and Oslin got bumped down to the prelims last second, right? But since we had still had the pick on that, it still counted. We both lose there. So our first Savvy pick in 13 years was a loss. Okay, yeah. Oslin threw bombs, as we talked about before, but Cutelaba, he's matured, baby.
Yeah,
we should not have doubted the Hulk. He came with great wrestling. Very impressive. Okay, so we go 0-1, right? Then, in a very hard-fought battle, which I didn't really cover last week, Menefield does it for us, but man, that was close. Walker came with the business. So then we go 1-1, okay? Now, Gene Silva, and I'm going to pause here and talk about this for a second and get your take here. Gene Silva, and I didn't even cover this last week, he just comes in with the business and takes out Melsick with a huge knockout. His hands looked unbelievable. It was basically like one of those walk-off knockouts. I forgot to mention it, but what you'll love about this, and then I want to get your feelings, is you know how you complain all the time about, it takes forever to get new bookings to occur. He instantly, in his post-conference, calls out Mitchell, who is number 13 in the world, who you know very well. Already, Dana has booked Mitchell Silva.
He heeded the call. He heeded the call. Dana stepped up, took care of it.
Do you like that Mitchell booking? Because now now Silva's in line to get into the top 15.
Well, Bryce Mitchell is on a losing streak. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Savvy.
No, you're wrong, baby. So he beat Ige. He then gets pummeled by Emmett, but he reset himself and he beat Gracie.
And he beat Gracie.
He knocked out Gracie with unbelievable ground and pound.
Yes, so I remember that.
He's not an easy out, and he's one of the better wrestlers in the division. So you got to check that analysis before But
no, but I just feel like he's a little bit still on a downward trajectory. Like he hasn't met his potential. He's 13th.
Yes.
Silver's going to be hungry. He'll just have that hunger to break into the top 15. And so Mitchell has to be careful. Mitchell has to be very careful. He has to study. He has to do his due diligence to make sure he can fend off the Silva who's coming in hot, coming on fire.
Yeah, exactly. But I like it. The quick turnaround is what you're going to like. And then his chance to get into the top. It's a very risky fight for Mitchell, giving up someone else a chance at his number 13 in the world. So anyway, we're both 2-1 at this point. We both hit Silva. Then this is where things change.
Things differentiated here.
I had the cojones to go with the slight underdog here, and Font hit, baby. You took Matsumoto, so I go to 3-1. You go to 2-2.
The funny thing is that I've always historically liked Font. I've always rooted for him and liked him. He's solid, and he always kind of has this solid game. But I just had an instinct with Matsumoto. He didn't pull it off. Good call there, Ari. You slipped ahead. You slipped ahead of me there.
But I will give you credit. It was a very close decision. It was split. One of the judges actually had it for Matsumoto. He rallied, so it was very close, but Font did enough in my eyes. Okay, then we get to another one, and you had to go with your heart pick. It did not pan out. Also, although Brendan Allen was in the fight, he fought for his life.
He did.
But he made a couple really bad mental mistakes. And then Hernandez, like I said, is the wrestling superstar of this division besides Kamaev and Bo Nickel. Yeah. And so I then pull ahead. You go to a dismal 2-3 at that point. Anything to say about your life with Brendan Allen, or are you just are you devastated about that? Or?
I was, you're rooting for him. Like, I'm rooting for that guy, and he does show why I chose him, why I picked him to win this fight. I think he did overall show up, but you're right. It's that Hernandez had that edge in the wrestling. And just like overpowered Brandon, and it was I would say it was a clear victory. I don't know if it was decisive, but it was clear. Hernandez gets the win. Allen needs to. I'm not sure what he needs to do to kind of take his game to the next level.
He needs to stop with the mental mistakes, because even with Bisping and Felder, they were saying that sometimes, like against Imavov, he also did the certain things where he kind of does these crazy maneuvers. And in a 3-round fight, you can't risk it. Like in the first round, he's winning on the feet. He jumps Hernandez back all of a sudden to try to get some rear naked choke standing, and he falls off. And then Hernandez, and then later in round 3, when he's probably down, or maybe it's 1-1, he actually hits Hernandez with a great left in the eye. It looks like he hurts him. And I'm like, oh my God. And then he closes the distance too much and lets Hernandez get his arms around him again. Then boom,
so
there's the
some
takedown.
Mental mistakes and some discipline.
Mental mistakes,
and he's just he needs to have that discipline. So that is going to be his coaching staff to kind of pull it together, and hopefully he can get over those mental humps.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy for us to say again when you're in there with Hernandez. He's so hard to deal with. So but Allen's, I feel like he wanted to go prove, because he had that loss to him earlier in his career, and he wanted to prove he was the better grappler. He decided to grapple with this guy a little bit, and you're like, dude, don't do that. You're winning on the feet. Keep the distance. And he maybe could have come out with a win. Anyway, we'll move on. I'm 4-1 at this point. You're 2-3 now. Okay. And then we get to Cejudo Yadong. Obviously, it ended with the eye poke hole fiasco, but Yadong was up on the score.
What did it mean? This is where it gets bizarre in the rules and what's going on. For me, Yadong had the clear victory. He was ahead in that fight. I am so glad they did not they let it be ruled by where they were to that point. And that's how Yadong gets the victory, because he was decisively winning up until that point in the fight. But it's a bizarre way to end the fight. It was odd. It kind of was a little deflation to the evening.
Yes.
Ari, what happened there?
So this is the weird thing. And you feel bad for both parties a little bit. But so Yadong's clearly up probably 2-1 at that point. I thought Cejudo eked the first round, and then Yadong started really taking over. But the thing is, the eye poke happened near the end of the third, so you feel for Cejudo because he can't see, right? But what they do now is, as long as more than half of the fight is over, they go to a decision. If they feel it's unless it's an illegal blow, if it's like a kick to the back of the head to a grounded opponent, of course, then
right.
Yadong would get the disqualification loss. But since it's an inadvertent eye poke, they're not, and you know what I mean? They can't, it's not an illegal blow. Therefore, Yadong gets the decision because he gets the 2 rounds to 1. So I like that they're at least doing that. But you feel bad for Cejudo because he can't continue, and then it's a loss instead of a disqualification. So
do you think that I thought that almost in the moment you're like that Cejudo was essentially trying to play for the disqualification or play for the fight ending, so into some decision that wasn't clear, and I thought that's what he was kind of vying for there. But that was just sort of not knowing the detail there about if half the fight goes through, he would have known that too. He's not going to get, at that point, it's going to be called by the merits.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit, because he was the first one, and they even talked about this. He even said, hey, are you not taking a point? I've never heard a fighter actually. But in his defense, it's like, fuck, he can't see. It was the second eye poke, and eye pokes are getting very frustrating. I think we're going to have to talk about eye pokes on one of these shows and do our state of the MMA world, because there are major issues.
Did you see last night?
Yeah, the Almabayev situation.
Exactly.
So they need to figure it out, but at the same time, it's they're not doing it on purpose usually. It's a defensive thing. They're coming back. The guy's running, sometimes, and you're just naturally putting your hand out, but they might have to start taking points. That's now, what Cormier.
Listen, Ari, let's not ignore Yadong's performance. Let's give him the props he deserves. Incredible performance, keeps him a very viable contender here. Where is he headed next? We don't know. Do you have any sense of what his next fight might look like?
He's number 7 in the world now, and so he's going to get another big fight. Yeah, his striking looked fantastic. He looked super fast. He looked athletic. He was able to deal with Cejudo's takedowns, even though I thought Cejudo barely tried as much as he should have. He should have challenged him much more. But yeah, Yadong, he's going to get.
Yeah.
Let's pull up the bantamweight division here. Yadong now is looking. So look, he's now moved to a number 6 since that. Ooh, I like this. Look at this update. He's gone up 2. So he's going to get, Figgy is already booked versus Sandhagen, I believe.
Yeah, that's
why not give him Umar, baby? Because they're saying that O'Malley is going to get Merab. So why not give him he just fought Jan, so I don't think Dana's going to be into a Jan rematch. I like Umar Yadong.
Love it.
And that's a
classic striking versus sort of, grappling battle.
Right, but Yadong has good grappling too, not on the level of an Umar Nurmagomedov.
Right, no.
But he was able to deal with Cejudo's grappling, so...
Exactly. Good.
Right?
Good. I like what you're throwing down here. This could be a great intrigue here at the top 5.
So that's all we're going to say there. I then go 5-1 for the night. You at least salvage and go 3-3. Respectable.
I'll take it for the first.
And you did go a little bit more. I did go on that one.
I went out on a limb a little more than you did.
A little bit out on the limb with the Allen pick.
Yes.
But you thought, that was still a good one. That was even in our, if you were to touch, it didn't hit. The Cejudo was also an if you were to touch. Okay, let's move on to the next card that just happened last night, baby. This is this is hotter right now because it just occurred. Almabayev. This is what I want to say, though, before we go through the night. And let me actually go all the way down here. But let me just make a statement here. We got to fix up the fucking Apex, man. Dana, last show,
we talked about
what did I say? That Dana was talking about a $20 million expansion, renovation. Hopefully that means they bring in fucking room for crowds. They bring in a bigger octagon. They bring in more excitement because I went from the Seattle night being really amped up, and yes, it might be because of Dana's like cards, which we're going to get into today. That's going to be one of our.
It's a combination of the two things. I think it's a combination of the Apex and a drop off in energy that it's palpable and you feel it when you're watching. If anyone who, I hope all of you were out and caught the card, prelim and main. But then, it's that, and it's also that it's just a weaker card all around. It just didn't have that presence. It didn't have those any top 15 fights, present here.
Besides the main fight.
Besides the main fight. So I think it's a combination of both things, Ari. I think you're right to feel the way you do. There was a slight tinge there and a slight frustration
Yeah.
But still, I must say, this card was actually pretty impressive for the level of a card it was. It was impressive, nonetheless.
All right, so before we go into the full analysis of the Cop Almabayev card that just happened, let's take a quick break from our sponsors. Okay, baby, and we're back to the show. We're going to hit this heavy. All right, so here's the other thing that happened. Remember how I told you earlier that was interesting, and this sometimes happens when you're picking stuff 2 weeks ahead. Things are going to change, and they also, even though we had picked Lane versus Pinto, this is going to be a big key fight here for both of us. It was demoted to the prelims, and they had promoted Barlow Patterson. So in case you were confused there of why we had a pick on the prelims, that's just because when you do it 2 weeks ahead, hey, things are going to change. Dana's going to change his mind, right? So let's start with Lane Pinto. Now, here's the thing. You went out on, and you actually had a great fucking sense here.
Yeah.
Because Lane looked good. He was actually up. Pinto was in trouble. And even the commentators, Dominic Cruz was going like, man, Lane is huge. He looks like a monster in there. And I was like, shit, this is where Nico's going to come up on the picks. He has Pinto hurt, but you got to give Pinto credit here. And I'll let you go in a second. Man, he weathers the storm, and sort of this unknown, undefeated guy from Portugal. I don't know if you saw the hammer that he put on Lane, but he hits him with a 1-2.
1-2.
Boom, fight was over. And he's now going to be right up there, right outside of the top 15. He's could be a force at heavyweight that we're looking at right now. Yeah. That's why, and you did say this last time, Nico, that sometimes the smaller cards show these new rising stars coming up. Right. And so we got to catch them, because if you miss these and all of a sudden he's ranked later, you're like, who is this Pinto guy?
Who is this guy coming out of nowhere? Pinto, usually like you get one shot when the guy falls to the ground, and you get one shot to, he didn't even have to take a shot. Like he didn't even attempt it. It was over.
That's a walk-off. That's a walk-off.
And Lane showed he showed his explosiveness. He was very dangerous. He dominated that first round. He came through, and he had Pinto against the rope, so to speak. And Pinto just, comes out of nowhere and shows what heavyweight division's all about. And one punch, in this case, it was a 1-2, can end it. And very exciting.
And to your point, that's the crazy thing with the difference of the divisions. In the heavyweight division, in the light heavyweight division, in the middleweight division, one little punch can just end the entire fight, especially the heavyweight and 205, right?
For sure.
And versus in the smaller divisions, you really need to have your whole body into it and connect perfectly for the knockoff shot. It can happen, but there's a difference in power.
Yes.
But then you're going to lack speed and you're going to lack cardio in the larger division. So that's why I always love those middle, the welterweights and the middleweights, because you get the power, but you get the speed and the cardio. Yes. You know what I mean? Those are like those nice,
very
sweet
nice
spot divisions.
I like that.
Yeah. But that was just a display of heavyweight power, and I think we're going to hear more about Pinto.
When you're on the extremes, you get a trade off. Like you trade off something for another. Yes. But when you're in those middle divisions, you kind of get the best of all worlds.
Yes.
It's like a sweet spot. Yeah, I love it.
So we're just going to skip the next one, but we do got to give a quick shout out to Sam Patterson, because this new English guy kind of came out of nowhere. He was the underdog by plus 225. In the first round, gets a KO. Barlow, it was undefeated, American, it was highly touted. And all of a sudden, Patterson comes out of nowhere. And I was like, I almost missed it. It happened so quickly, as you were kind of saying. Yeah. So, hey, maybe this is another guy. Is it a fluke KO? But it looked like he hit him with a bunch of good shots, and then he followed up. He looks like a serious guy.
Yep. Agreed.
Okay. So then we get back. Oh, and so hold on. Let's go back. I almost forgot to count up.
And by the way, Maurice
with Lane, baby.
wait, hold on. With Maurice Skull, by the way, is a stud.
Oh yeah, you want to go to Maurice
interesting
Skull.
Fight. I'm not going to say much, but just keep an eye on that guy right there, because he was very impressive.
Oh, you were impressed by his performance?
I was impressed.
Okay,
yeah. Solid,
he looked solid. He was almost a 4-1 guy, so you were, he looked decent
he
in there.
So I lose Lane.
You lose Lane, now making you officially go to 3-4. I hit Pinto, making me go to 6-1. And all of a sudden, the world is just coming around. But of course, the rest of the night is not going to be as successful for me, though. Right. We're going to see Wally falter a little bit here. Now, and I think at the hands of a couple bad decisions, though, or very close decisions.
I know.
We'll talk about that. So now let's get to, let me start this. I'll go Emil Gomez. This was one of the fights of the night. I thought the back and forth. Gomez was amazing. Emil was amazing. This was like a sleeper great fight. It's a split decision for Emil. Now, I think why he got it, even though Gomez might have landed more punches, especially in the first couple rounds, he kept coming with the pressure. He's a bulldog. He's from the Philippines. Emil is one of my new favorite featherweights. He kept coming. And finally, and they even Dominic Cruz a bunch of times said, you know what, he's going to keep grinding you out and try to make you break. And eventually it happened. Late in the second, he steals that round, and then he definitely steals the third. He gets Gomez finally in the third, although Gomez still fight. You could have given it for both guys. That's one of those ones where, like, if it was a draw, maybe you wouldn't have been pissed because, man, it was fucking close.
Yeah,
but I think Emil looked fantastic. He's a guy to look out for at 145. But Gomez, he shouldn't hang his head. I mean, an unbelievable performance from this guy as well. What are your thoughts here on this one?
Do you think that it's, or do you think it's the pressure? Like, do you think that the pressure of Emil, that relentless grind, impacts the sort of judging? It impacts their perception of things.
Yes.
If they're always got their foot forward, there's just something that you're kind of giving the benefit of the doubt always to that fighter. So when you have a close fight like that, I think that's what happened here. I mean, you just have Emil's pressure. You just couldn't, at the end of the day, he eked it out. He eked it. It was very close. Gomez performed formidably, but Emil did deserve that in the end there.
And it's so funny that you say that, because there's always been this talk of, well, more control than the other guy, more pressure. Yeah. But you know what? So I was listening to Dominic Cruz. I know I mentioned his name. He just got into the Hall of Fame, by the way. He was commentating last night.
And he almost fought recently, right?
He almost fought recently, and then he had to retire because of an injury. So he's finally done. But he's one of the greatest bantamweights of all time. What he called it, and I love it, we're going to use it from now on, is it's called ring generalship. Wow. You're the ring general, and it's showing to the judges that you're in control. You're putting the pressure. You have your front foot forward. You're throwing more, even if it's not always landing. It's like, well, he's doing more. He's the general of the ring.
Yes.
So when it's that close, that you're going to give it to that guy. I really like that.
And I like it. It reminds me of Strickland, which he does that a lot. But he doesn't, it doesn't always work out, as we know, when Strickland fought the first fight against the South African phenom. But yes.
So we both lose that, but I'm happy with the loss, because Emil, to me, was a great Emil coming out party. Yeah. I go to 6-2. You're at 3-5 all of a sudden. Okay, and then
now this one is for me. This is the fight of the night, right?
This was fight of the night, and I called. Did you not remember a couple weeks ago? I said, "How is this not the co-main?" Kopgras had won 4 straight. Ribovics had won 3. It was very close. I don't know why that Ribovics was that much favored, even though after the fight you kind of see why. We both think this was a bad decision. Maybe Kopgras.
You agree with that? So you agree it was a bad decision?
I texted you when it happened. I said we got robbed. Ribovics had won. So. Here's the thing. Hopcross maybe stole the first round. It was close, but I thought Ribovics was much more busy in the second round. It was very close, but he did more. And the third round, he had the knee that almost fucking ended the fight. So I don't know. See, okay, before I let you go, hold on. Here's my take on this. This is another great fight that maybe would have benefited from the half-point system. And I'll tell you why, because we've talked about this. Because they have those really close rounds.
Yes.
And then a very definitive round. Hopcross ends up winning the fight because he gets 1 and 2, right? But very close. Where Ribovics definitively won the third. Right. He should have counted for more. That's the issue. The only issue, though, just like I said, is then let's say a judge gave Hopcross 1 and 2 by a half point. Ribovics got the third one by a clear point. That's a draw. So, but I just feel unfair. Like, he clearly won the third. And I thought he won the second. So anyway,
I love that you brought that up, Ari. This is a prime example. You teed it up last week, and boom, we get a fight that like kind of speaks to your point right there about the scoring, the half-point system. Also, we just finished saying that Emil may have gotten that victory because of the sheer pressure. And I felt that Ribovics was clearly relentless in his pressure in this fight. And listen, I give the first round to Hopkarast. He takes that first round because of his jab. It was so powerful. His boxing's phenomenal. But Ribovics was relentless. The guy would not let off the gas pedal. And I think he clearly got the second round, and I clearly got the third round. And I was actually pretty shocked that Hopkarast got that call because, yes, he might have gotten the first round, but I thought it was very clear. Round 2 and round 3 went to Ribovics, and especially with round 3, where it just like the sparks flew, the knees. It was impressive. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one for him, but I don't think that necessarily.
It doesn't derail
dead
him.
in his. It doesn't. It's not over for him. I'm not sure where he goes from here, but that for me was just what a fight. It was crazy. But this is where the frustration comes in with the judging, and we've talked about it, and it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's all we can say there. Ribovics looked like it was his coming out party. I actually wasn't even paying attention to the decision because I thought it was pretty much done. Yeah, and then I looked back up at the TV and they're like Hopkarast, and I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, and I was like, did I not pay attention to the second round well enough? I know the second round was close. And they were saying that Ribovics was only throwing punches and Hopkarast was blocking a lot of them.
He was a lot. I did see that.
It.
Yeah, I get it.
But I just don't think he did enough back to steal it. At least it was a split and one judge gave it to Ribovic. But yeah, I don't love that. So let's move on.
Okay.
So we both lose that.
Okay.
Which means I'm now all of a sudden at a 6-3. And you're at a 3-6 all of a sudden.
That's brutal.
You took a big hit. And you know what? You took a big hit there. And you know what? Here's the last thing I'll say to this is the sad thing about this is what other analysts say, is that when people go back and they look at this 2 years from now, they're only going to see Hopkarast on here as the winner. There's no little asterisk saying, well, Ribovics fought his ass off and it was really close and it was a bad decision. It just looks like, boom, he got the win. So when you're studying this 3 years from now, it's just going to look, oh my God, Hopkarast won 5 straight easily. It's not going to show what really happened here, which I don't like.
I feel like that's exactly the main reason why something's got to be done with the judging, in my opinion, because history is made. I mean, history is cemented. We move on, and you don't realize how close these fights are, and how they could have gone either way. Anyway, I'm not going to dwell on it. Let's move forward. It still was a great fight.
So now you're reeling. I've lost 2 straight. All of a sudden, we're both like, holy crap. We need to do something here, right? So then Brundage, Marquez, the co-main, and I denounced it a little bit. It was a great fight. They went back and forth. It was insane. Marquez was up. We were in big trouble. We were about to lose a lot of fights in a row, and they were a punch away from stopping this fight. And I was like, oh my God! And it was Brundage was the slight underdog at one point. And I'm like, oh my God, why do we take this guy? And then they paused it a little bit, remember, because of the mouth guards, which I thought was just. You have to get the mouth guards in, but it almost gave our boy Brundage a second to reset himself. And then he lands the big punch, finishes him in round 1. And I thought actually it was a little bit of a premature stoppage because they had let Marquez go. They had let Brundage really go. I mean, he was almost out of it. They let it go. And then in the reverse, when Marquez was down, they kind of stopped, and he wasn't really landing. Like he was kind of.
Yes, there were weak kind of hits, kind of backhand. Yeah, like. Yeah.
But hold on, let me just finish. And then the one thing I will say though is that Marquez didn't look like he complained, and that sometimes shows okay, maybe it was a good stoppage. Because usually if it's bad, they're up in arms and they're instantly like, what the fuck? I was fine. He didn't really. He kind of stayed down, so maybe he was pretty badly hurt. And the ref does have to protect it, even if it's a side glancing blow shot. So I didn't hate it, but I thought it was a little bit premature. But we needed it. We needed that W. What's your thoughts on this?
My thoughts were that Marquez had a lot of muscle. He was a little more tired than Brundage in this fight, but he exploded, caught him. It was basically like, the fight's over here. I thought Brundage was done.
Yeah.
Miraculous. Now, that stoppage, very controversial, in my opinion. Very controversial.
I would say just slightly controversial.
How do you pause the action
Oh, you mean with the mouth guards?
Yeah, with the mouth guard.
But you have to get the mouth guards in though, and they were a little distance. They had to stop it. Yeah, they have to do it. But anyway, continue. Sorry.
It impacts the continuity of the fight, and you never know what could have happened if that break wasn't there. But that break occurs, and Brundage takes advantage of it instantly, and then it's over. They may have. I agree with you. They may have cut it, slightly too short. Could have let it go a hair longer, but you're right. Marquez didn't complain about it. I didn't know if that was just because he's just not that type. He's not the type of guy who's gonna whine and complain. He just took it, and that was it.
Right, but maybe. But anyway, yeah. So we lucked out. We got a win. You go to 4-6. I go to 7-3. Right, 7-3 at that point. Right. So now we get to the main fight. A little bit of controversy again with the fucking eye pokes, but I don't really think that's the story of the fight. I think the story again is Cop is unbelievable. He dealt with this unstoppable wrestler from Kazakhstan who I think he trains with Rakhmonov, they said. So I'm like, holy shit.
I don't think he was impressive. I don't think Almabayev had much to offer this fight. He was like, it was very disappointing. He didn't have any, there was no threat on the wrestling. There was no threat on the feet. What was he doing there? He was just a passive sort of, just object for Cape's, just prowess and his athleticism. And he had all these feints and his footwork and where he was aligning his shots. Excellent work by Cop. This Cop is the real deal. We're excited to see his trajectory here.
I think it's more of a story of Cop is that good versus Asu it doesn't have much, because I think he couldn't get takedowns and this also shows now Cop's going to be able to deal with all the top wrestlers in the division, and on the feet he can't contend, right? He was in the fight somewhat in the early couple rounds, but yeah, he also came in on short notice. Remember, it was supposed to be Cop Royval. He only had 2 weeks to prepare for this. So it's like, maybe that. But Cop is just that good, I think, is more of the story versus Almabayev not being that. But yeah, he did finally try to get some takedowns in the third round before they were stuffed,
basically. Yeah, he stuffed him. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that the main story is Cop is that good. I think he's going to be a champion one day.
I agree. I agree with you.
Can he hang with the Pantosias of the world? I think he can, baby.
Oh, I think he can. I think he absolutely can. He will.
And I think, yeah, go ahead.
No, just I'm with you on that. I think that's where he's headed. He's headed toward a title shot soon. I'm not sure if it's the next fight or then one after. That's it. He's on path.
I think after this, let's look at our rankings. Let's go to Pantoja. I mean, okay, he's got a couple guys. I mean, Tyra just came off that loss to Royval. Moreno is already booked now. So maybe Cop. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be in the discussion. Does Cop have to fight Albazi? Yeah, he might have to do one more fight before the title, right? I guess we'll see how that
would be a nice one. Very nice.
When we do the flyweight analysis, we'll really be able to, get deep on that. But he's at least one fight he's probably one fight away, but he's definitely, man, like he's up there. Like he's gonna get a top 3 fight next. All right.
I like his style. So I like his style.
Then I go to 8-3. You at least salvage a little bit and go to 5-6, right? So right now I have a 3-fight lead. Okay. After
it's
2 weeks.
It's surmountable.
Now it's all going to come later in this show. We're going to make our picks for the next 2 weeks. Okay. So let's go back now. All right. So, and you know what? I know we started it. I just want to go back to improve the fucking Apex, man. It was obvious that there just wasn't the same excitement. I just wasn't engaged as much. There's not enough sound. I'm just fucking done, Dana. And we have another Apex fight in like a couple weeks. I'm like, God, like, get the renovation going, bro.
Yeah, it feels like you're in some like corporate boardroom with that like you're just like in a conference room or something, and that's where they're fighting, and it's just like this eerie silence. Did you
see when he went out in the hallway on that last fight? You did see some fucking offices. I'm like, what is going on here?
I know, it's weird.
Improve the arena. Get the shit going. I know it probably will take a while, but get your foot on the gas with the renovation. We got to stop it with these Apex cars. I've had enough.
I'm with you.
So I'm officially 8-3. Nico's 5-6. The only thing I will say is if you were to touch picks, we went 0-3. but they're not always going to win. They're just going to be sometimes value picks that are, so Cejudo lost, Allen lost, and Lane lost. Those were our if you were to touch suggestions.
But Lane came very, very close.
Lane came close. So Cejudo was close. He was still in there, and Allen was there. Allen was close. If those had hit, that would have paid out. So like, I still feel okay with our if you were to touch. All right, so now let's go to another.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go to another quick commercial break. Okay, babies, and we're back to the show. Big MMA news. I mean, you didn't really get to talk last week about a lot of things, but luckily there's new shit. So we're going to go straight to bookings. I don't have, for us, this is the biggest thing with MMA news.
Okay. Absolutely.
So there was crazy stuff that went on last week, but this show, we're going to talk about the hot things from this week, baby. So Hill, Roundtree, let me give my assessment, then I'll let you go. This is booked for April 26th. So right around the corner, a couple months away in Kansas City. I love it. It's not the fucking Apex. Thank God. Okay. Now, let's just take a look at this. Hill, number 4. Roundtree's number 7. So this is why I like the booking. Hill is coming off close. I mean, he got storched by Pereira. Yeah. You still claim that it was the stoppage, the little ref stoppage, which is unjust.
Yeah,
unjust. Then he had the valiant effort. I mean, against Jiri, because besides Pereira, Jiri is the other scariest guy in the division, and no one else besides Pereira can beat him. And he was in there. He fought heroically. Hill impressed me in that Jiri fight. I think he finally got all the way to the 3rd round, which is finally when he got stopped. And so he's still alive. I mean, he's still in the top 5. He has to reset himself, though. You don't want to ever lose 3 straight. Exactly. Roundtree, on the other hand, he had that heroic performance against Pereira, even knocked Pereira down. He came in, he was like the number 10 guy in the world. We were all kind of scoffing at the booking. He got close to actually at least being in the fight, even maybe defeating Pereira. He showed the heart of a warrior. I was so impressed. And so therefore I like this booking. I'll let you go in 1 second. It's hard to pick what I think will happen, but I almost like Roundtree because I kind of feel like now he has the bad loss to Pereira, and he was also injured for a while, so he had that layoff. Then he has the bad loss, shocking loss to Pereira really early in the fight. Then he loses in a battle to Jiri. Kind of like mentally, fuck, where does he go now?
Yeah.
And Roundtree is coming off one of the best performances we've seen in a while. I think he's he's shorter a little bit. I don't think he has the same reach that Hill does, but I think he's pumped up. He's like, man, I almost defeated the baddest guy on the fucking planet right now. I can go through Hill. I think he wins this. But anyway, what do you say about this booking?
Well, okay. Hill versus Jiri was that was an epic performance, an outright duel. We saw 2 of the best in the division go at it, and he came up short. Roundtree went up against the Goliath of the division, put on an absolutely just jaw-dropper of a performance, literally like stunned the champion. Both coming off really tough losses, but to absolute top-notch, competition. It's actually saddens me to see these 2 go at it because I love them both. So it's going to be a tough one from emotionally to like watch because you're like, I don't, I'm rooting for both. So it's tough. Hill, I think, can get through is this going to be a 5-round fight or is it a 3-round fight?
No, it's the main event.
If it's the main event, so it's 5-round fight, you have to think about Hill. I've seen him perform all the way through 5 rounds at a very high level. Remember what he did against Jan Blachowicz? Yeah, the Teixeira fight, right? Where he that's what I was thinking, the Teixeira fight, where he went all the way to the end and it was so impressive. So I think I give a little bit of the edge to Hill if he can last through and kind of, not get totally rocked by Roundtree's power. Yeah, if he can deal with Roundtree's power, stay alive, I give him the edge over time. So as the rounds progress, that's where I'm leaning. I don't know if these are official picks, Ari, that we're making on this fight.
That's later. Okay. These are just our early ideas, our assumptions,
Good. We're exploring it. I love it. So those are my thoughts there. Good.
Yeah. The other big news, the other big booking is not Pereira Ankalaev, which we're going to get to later today, but Gaethje Fiziev 2. So I'll set the stage here, baby. So we all know that the Hooker gets injured. He hurts his hand 2 weeks out. Everybody's devastated because this card is already, I wouldn't say as packed as a pay-per-view should be. We're going to get into that later with Dana's light cards. I don't think this is a light one, but anyway, it was, I love, without the Gaethje Hooker fight, it really would have diminished the card. So luckily Justin's a badass, and there was a lot of takers that stood up. Fiziev steps in. It's number 3 Justin Gaethje versus number 11 Fiziev. Now, the first fight was so close. For people that don't know, it was a striker's delight. It was an amazing fight. Fiziev won round 1. It looked like Gaethje was going to lose again. I'm like, oh my God, Fiziev is the future. No one can deal with him on the feet. We hadn't seen anybody be able to strike with Fiziev. He's leading all the way, even past, I think, halfway through the second round. And all of a sudden, Gaethje just hits him with a couple punches. And all of a sudden, his energy is back. He's excited.
Yeah.
He sort of takes over. He steals round 2, and then round 3. Finally, Fiziev seems like, holy shit, he ran into someone that could outstrike him. Gaethje just unloads on him in round 3 and gets the close 29-28. I believe it was unanimous, but fuck, that was close. So I love this as the best case scenario of a step in, because it's a better fight, maybe even than the fucking Hooker fight.
It's better than the Hooker fight. And Fiziev now is coming off injury. Let's not forget. So this is
right
again of, I think it's very risky for Gaethje to take this, to be fighting Fiziev here. Fiziev is one of the most exciting pure strikers of the entire division. His kicking is on another level. He's dangerous. I actually think Fiziev has a good shot of winning this fight. Okay, I'm leaning there. Okay, Ari, I'm not sure if we're making our
we're gonna hit our picks
calls
right now. Later today, baby.
Later today, but I do think Gaethje has to be very careful here. Will this be a 3-round?
Yeah, it's a 3. Oh shit! I think it's got to be a 5-round.
Yeah, it's exciting. Gaethje's gotta get the victory here after what happened with Holloway. He needs this victory, because essentially it'll be just a slow sort of winding down of his career if he loses this, in my opinion.
Well, I will say, I'm glad you brought up the Holloway. I still think, he got his nose broken, I think, in the first round. Okay. And just like we saw, recently, Strickland got his nose broke.
Yeah.
It's so hard to continue, man. And this guy's badass, but the rest of the time he couldn't breathe. And I just felt like he wasn't the same the rest of the fight. I don't know if that was really the Gaethje, who
fair.
Was that really him? The rest of the fight with the broken nose, he couldn't breathe. You feel kind of demoralized. And then Holloway was able to sort of take over. It was one of his best performances ever. I think now we have to see, is Gaethje losing a step, or was it just the broken nose? We don't know. The one other thing I will say, though, against Fiziev is when you come in on 2 weeks, man, that's not good against the best in the world. So
I know.
And the honestly, issue is the same thing with Matsumoto.
Boxing phenom. Justin Gaethje has more of the power edge, so it's going to be an exciting co-main to take in here. So
the other bit of news before we move on to our state of MMA topic, since you didn't get to weigh in, I just wanted to give you the floor. The fans know how I stand. What is your feelings on Topuria going to lightweight? I know you like this more than me because you always have
hands down 100%. I'm 100% for it. I don't have any qualms about it. Okay, he's clearly saying to himself, because he knows his body, he knows himself, and he's saying it to the MMA world. I am moving up. I am moving up in class, and I can move up in class and compete at the highest level in that class, almost at the pinnacle of where he is in his career right now. So he's going on very strong momentum. Has he proved himself fully within the division, right? To say, okay, I weren't moving up or taking a shot going up. I haven't really defended my title. Fine. No, you're right, Ari. He hasn't done that. He hasn't shown. I get you. But he has in such a positive upward trajectory, and his body's telling him, I need to fight at a higher level, at the higher weight class. Let me do it, and let me do it against the best. Who are they going to put? Who are they going to put in front of him? Do we know?
But I'm sure it's probably going to go straight to the title against Islam, because why would he want to take a top 5 guy? I mean, I would prefer it if they actually do. I mean, it's obviously happening. I'm just still pissed about it. I would prefer they give him a top 5 guy. I don't think he does. I mean, I guess
it, but Either like a Poirier, like for instance, would be insane.
Give me a Poirier, fine. I'm still pissed about it. And what I want to do, Nico, is I want to read you a statement from my boy, Patty the Batty. Okay?
What did he say? You gotta be kidding.
He agrees with me. He said he cemented his legacy at the weight. It's a little bit of bullshit. Beat Volk again. Beat Diego Lopez. Beat Movsar Evloev. Then you've cleared the division out. Then move up. Champions are too quick to want to move up now and not defend the belt. Couldn't have said it better.
No,
those three examples. Bullshit.
No, those 3 examples he gave are a little weak. None of them are very scary.
Those are the top 3 guys in the division.
Volk is not scary to him. Neither is Evloev. Neither is whoever the other third person you mentioned.
Lopez, what are you talking about, bro? He's fighting Volkanovski for the title now.
Yeah, but we could already know he's a level above these folks. We already know that. I just like him going up against Islam. Give me that fight. Let's put this to rest right now.
But see, that's why, though, this is why I knew that you wanted it, because you just want anybody that has unbelievable striking, that has a puncher's chance of beating Islam, even though he's 5'7" and Islam's 6'1". It's going to be the same thing with fucking Volkanovski. Sure, he has a puncher's chance, but you want miracles. I want realistic fights. You're still too much of a miracle guy that you believe that there's this magic that's going to occur one day.
No,
and you feel that Topuria is the new vessel of that.
I felt Volk did that already to Islam, and he got that first one in. And I think that Topuria can be equal in that, equally formidable versus Islam, and actually get the win this time. I think he's very capable of doing that. And I think it's fair. Let's see it happen. It's good for the sport. It's exciting. I know what you mean, that it sort of it kind of takes away from.
They're jumping too quickly. You got to. The point is, going back to Patty's comment, it's not that those guys can match him. It's just if you claiming you've cleared the division out, you have to beat the old guy twice. You have to beat all the contenders, and then after a couple years, fine. If there's nobody left standing, then fine, go up to lightweight. But here's the thing: if he was a bigger guy, he had a bigger frame like a Pereira that can dance in all these classes, then yes, fine. Even it's going back to Conor. When he went to fucking welterweight, I was losing my shit. I'm like, bro, you're 5'9". Usman and these guys are 6'1" destroyers. You're fucking 5'9". You can't. Listen. Yeah, you might get a win against fucking Cowboy and Nate Diaz, but you're not a welterweight. It's the same fucking thing.
Ari, let's see what happens. Dana's got this. All right. Dana's got to come through for him right now and book something big here. All right, and we'll accept it because no matter what. It's very exciting, and I'm happy for Volk to get a second chance at the title. I like it versus Lopez. We love Lopez. I'm not sure if Lopez is at the level of Topuria right now, even to be in the conversation.
But that would have been the fight. That should have been the fight. Anyway, all right. I like when we have the differing views. We have to go toe-to-toe on this show. So let's go back here now. Oh, okay. This goes nicely into, we're got one state of the MMA world topic, and then we'll do our picks. Okay. So Dana's light cards is the title of this segment. Okay. And I think this goes perfect with Kap Albabayev.
Yes.
Okay. So here's our proclamation, a pay-per-view. And we're going to get into this right now with the Ankalaev as well. A pay-per-view, in my eyes, needs to have at least 4, if not 5, of all the main card fights. They better be top 15 contenders.
Yeah.
Okay. And in this one we are about to see, you mostly have that. And sometimes you don't because it's an international card. They want to show off their local guys. So fucking put them on the prelims. Anyway.
I know. Yes.
So Dana mostly does this, but still I feel like this Ankalaev one, there's one where it's like, why is King Green on the main card and Blades is not? I'll show you in a second. You're going to be shocked. Then a fight night. And this is more of the issue that we have. Fight nights, you got to have the top 3, the main event, the co-main, and then the third one down, you better go in the fucking top 15. Okay, you see I'm getting worked up here this week.
Yeah.
You need, and that's not happening. We're getting one top 15 showdown, and then it's other unranked guy. Like, you can't do that anymore. Like, okay, here, I'll let you go in 1 second, but I understand that it's not easy when you have a weekly card. That's very hard. It's hard to fill this. It's hard to fill the roster. Okay. And injuries. In Dana's defense, injuries keep happening. That's not his fault. So sometimes cards get diminished by the time we're looking at and analyzing them. Because a month before there might have been a ranked guy, then they get injured. Okay. But here's my point. You have 11 different weight classes with a top 15. Okay. Let's do the fucking math, Nico. What is that? 165 ranked fighters. I said this before. You have 165 fighters and you have a whole card and all you can put is 2 ranked people. How? It's not possible. You got to be able to, there's got to be a system where they move the guys along. You got to get them more guys on the cards. I mean, yes, we're still going to watch it, but like, I don't like this trend towards light cards, which is exactly the problem with the Cop Almabayev, and we're about to see with the Vittori Dolides. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, well, I think you're right. The trend is going in the opposite direction, and where the momentum of the market, so to speak, the momentum of the audience, of the fan is, we now have expectations. We want to see fights that count. We want to see the best fights possible, the ones from those that have proven to be the best. So we need that. And we need that, as you said, in a way that makes sense. You should be seeing rankings when you're looking at the card. Everyone should fill up. The whole entire main card should be filled with ranked fighters if it's a pay-per-view. If it's not a pay-per-view, at least the top 3 needs to be ranked fighters in there. That just makes sense. It's part of the expectation. We have that expectation. That's where the momentum is. We want more. We want to see better. Okay. And instead we're kind of getting in like, the trial runs. We're getting in these kind of these fights that are still important. Don't get me wrong. Those are still important fights, and we like them, and we like the unknowns kind of coming out of nowhere. But that's what the prelims kind of are for.
Yes.
So
not the fucking mains.
Not the main. So I'm with you on that. I hope we see that change. Maybe it stabilizes a little bit. Like maybe it's a frequency of fights. Maybe we have to sacrifice a week without a fight, or go a little bit longer.
We can't do.
Less is
so
more,
we can't do that. So we need the weekly fight. So I understand it's hard to fill it, but still, if you do the math, I just did the math. There's 165 ranked fighters at all times. You're telling me that on the Vittori Dolides fight that we're about to analyze, you only have 2 ranked fighters on the entire fucking card?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
That's not possible. What about the other 163? It's not like there's only 10 ranked guys. You know what I mean? So anyway, and there's all the female divisions too. So I'm like, guys, let's get this together.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, part of it's they're probably trying to build. They're trying to build momentum, like trying to get some visibility into some of the unranked fighters to keep kind of that newness going. It's sort of like, why do people watch college and not NFL? They like the younger.
Yeah, which is fine. I just still think there should be always a healthy mix. You got to have the pay-per-views stacked. You got to have the fight nights more stacked. And we were at the end of last year, we were talking about this, and then I thought we were on a positive track towards it. And it seems like it's all of a sudden regressing a little bit this year. And I'm like, what the fuck's happening here? All right. So let's take one more break from our sponsor. Okay, baby, and we're back to the show, the final segment. Oh, sorry, not the final segment.
Final. Don't skip the main segment.
Oh my God, I forgot about the divisional analysis, baby. The hottest fucking. Let's go here. All right, so I'm gonna go just like before. Then I'll let you go. Okay, so 205. This is the UFC's most iconic division of all time because of Chuck Liddell, because of Tito Ortiz, because of John Jones, and because of Randy Couture, who also came down, and Cormier, who also came down. Yes, heavyweight is the baddest man on the planet, but 205 is sort of the most iconic because you're big, but you're still very, very athletic and fast. So it's really overall, if you look at the history of the sport, I think maybe the most important division. Yeah. You could argue, and I like a lot of the lighter divisions over time. I love the lighter divisions, but this was now without Jones over the past couple years, this division had become stale. It wasn't as great as it once was because Jones cleared the fucking division out, and then all of a sudden he got hurt, he got in trouble multiple times, and then he bailed and he went to heavyweight. So it took a while for this division to create excitement again. Now you have Pereira at the top, okay? And we're going to be able to talk about this. He came in, shocked the world, beating Adesanya at middleweight, then moving up and then beating all these guys. I mean, it's unbelievable what he's done. He's booked versus Ankalaev, so I'm going to save some of that because unlike the other heavyweight division from a couple weeks ago, we were like stalled. This is moving. We have Pereira and Ankalaev next week, so I'm going to leave that. Jiri, the only guy besides Pereira that is as feared as a striker is Jiri. He really reset himself so amazingly well in that last Hill fight. I mean, what a performance. It just leaves him in that. You know what I think has to happen, sadly, for Jiri, is if Pereira beats Ankalaev, Pereira goes to heavy, and then Jiri has a real shot at the title because it just seems like he can't. Remember how we were talking about someone just has your number, like Strickland and DDP? I just think Jiri he can't. Pereira is too technical.
Ari, you're missing. Jiri has called and asked for the third fight versus Pereira. I think Dana will give it to him. Don't doubt it. It will happen. Jiri was impressive. Okay, very impressive in that fight versus Hill. He's a new man. He had a flow that he didn't have before. He had a joy in his fight that we hadn't seen before.
All right, so hold on. I'll let you jump in. Let me finish. It's fine. It's fine. Let me finish here, and I'll let you go deep on your analysis. Blachowicz is finally back in March against Ulberg. I don't like this fight for him. I think he's too old. I know it's your boy. It's Polish Power, but he's in his 40s now. He got so screwed with those decisions. He beat Pereira, we both remember. Right, and then he was also had that draw against Ankalaev, and we thought he won that fight. He damaged the leg way more than Ankalaev did anything to fucking him. He's been sidelined. And those two bad decisions derailed him. He should have maybe been the champion of the division. And he's been sort of sitting there at number 3. And now it's a year or so later. And now fucking comes in Ulberg. Maybe the new scariest young guy from Izzy's camp. They're booked later this month. I don't like this fight for Blachowicz. I think Ulberg wins that, but I'm sure you'll have a different take on it. Hill, we already talked about, is booked against Roundtree. Now, just the viewers, I want you guys to understand, this is way more booked than how the heavyweight was. So we got a lot more action here. Hill versus Roundtree. We already analyzed that. Rokic is the one that's sitting there. So he'll be in line. He's got to figure out what he needs to do here. Krylov is also booked against Reyes. I love that fight because Reyes looked like he was done, but he set himself by beating Smith. He's coming off. He looks hot again. Krylov has always been really dangerous, great striking and great on the ground. So I like how they have that. Volkan has sort of reset himself. He was old. I don't know if you don't know the whole backstory, but he challenged for the title a long time ago against Jones. So he's still scary. Walker's still a wild card, right? You see at number 10. And then if you go way to the bottom half of the division, Mirzakhanov, undefeated. He's very scary, bro. He actually looks like, I don't know if he'll be a champion, but he's going to be a top 10, top 5 guy. Guskov is also on a crazy run. Those guys are exciting, and then Menefield just barely beat Walker, but I don't think he's ever really going to be a champ because he barely did it. And we know, I love Anthony Smith. We listened to him on his podcast. I think he's got to retire at this point. I don't know why Dana keeps trotting him out. He has another fight again, and I'm just like, man, you got to hang it up, buddy.
I agree.
We love you, but I just don't want you to I don't want you to get hurt. Now, I think that's my analysis there. This is way more exciting, at least as far as bookings, than heavyweight is.
If you remember,
what's your thoughts now?
My thoughts here is that those first 2 slivers that you have in front of us here, so 1 through maybe 11, we've got a lot of action, and it's a nice stacked division, and I think it might be one of the more exciting or most exciting classes in all of the sport right now today. Okay. Pereira has injected, obviously, that excitement, has injected the level of play that is almost a historic run he's having here. We agree here. Okay, let me just dispose of the bottom 5 of the top 15. I don't know them well enough, except we know what Smith, he's got to go. Menefield we love, but I don't think he's ever going to come calling back. I'm curious about those 2 over there, 13 and 12. That have some possibility, some potential. Reyes, I don't see it. I think he's also sort of right on the cusp of the end. And Walker, I think Walker has so much promise, never meets it, always gets sort of disposed of in the ring. So, and Ozdemir, we know he's solid, he's great, all right? he could always be a threat, always a threat. But that Rakic, Olberg, Roundtree, Krylov still have something to offer and really have a possibility to sort of also do some noise, do some damage, and work their way up. That's still possible. So I do see some potential momentum from some of those, 5 through 8. Now, Hill. We still love Hill. We still think Hill, he had a break in an injury when he rose to the and was champ for a very short time. And then he had an injury and he's fallen. He's got to reset himself. But Hill, Blachowicz, you're right. I think he's been, by the fight he had against the Brazilian, Teixeira, that loss really kind of did hit, kind of really impacted his career. And then he had some bad decision. He had the draw you already talked about. I agree with you. He still, though, has a chance here. He still have a chance. Let's see what he does with a little bit of a break. He's fresh.
I mean, if he beats Olberg, he's back in the mix. But not to cut you off, but I don't see it happening anyway. Continue.
Now listen. For me, Jiří Procházka he's my favorite of all in this division. He, for me, needs a shot. He needs one more shot at Pereira. I know we don't do that. I don't know, the sport doesn't like to give you a third chance when you've lost 2 to the champion. But something in his victory versus Hill showed me he's a changed fighter, and I want to see it, all right? And Ankalaev, you have to show us, he's kind of, I feel, he's been solid, consistent, right, all around, but I just haven't seen, he's not exciting. He hasn't really been so impressive. So he really has to show it here. He's going to lose this fight unless versus Pereira, he's going to lose that fight unless he really takes it from the champ. Because I think ultimately Pereira will just have the edge in the striking throughout that fight. So this is an exciting division. We need to see what happens with Pereira, to your point. Is he going to move up, or is he going to continue to clean and hold his ground and cement himself? Not sure.
I think he moves up because he says he's getting older. He wants to be in and out of the sport quickly, and he wants to cement a crazy legacy. No one, I don't believe, people have fought in three weight classes, but no one's ever had a belt in 3. Connor's fought in 3. He's had a belt in feather, a belt in light, and he had wins in welterweight. But he did. So Pereira has a chance to be the middleweight champion, the light heavyweight champion, and the heavyweight champion because he has the frame. He's big enough, even though he's a little bit leaner, obviously, than those guys, but he has the frame to do it. And this is where I don't complain like the Topuria, because Pereira's fucking like 6'5". He's as big, he's as tall, or 6'4", 6'5". He's as tall as some of the heavyweights, and therefore, like Jones, he can actually do it. You see what I mean? So
can I ask you something, Ari? What happens if Pereira does beat Ankalaev, moves up to heavyweight, gets the title? Jiří, meanwhile, moves up and cements himself as
he has to beat Ankalaev. There would be Jiří,
and he beats Ankalaev, and Jiří now is the light heavyweight champ.
If Jiří beats Ankalaev and defends the belt 3 times and cements himself as one of the greatest light heavyweights, and Pereira's sitting there at heavy, Pereira then might come back down one last time and do the trilogy. You see what I mean? Right. That's the possibility. Well, but Pereira's got a way other bigger issues if he tries to fucking go against Aspinall and Gane and other guys. Yeah, so that's a whole different fucking story. Anyway, I hope you guys love this. This is probably our favorite segment of the entire show. I know it's yours. This was amazing. Well, as we go along, we're going to rank our top 3 favorite divisions. And as of right now, I don't think I can put heavyweight or light heavyweight in my top 3, baby. Wow. I don't think I can. Maybe 205. But I just feel like, I don't know. I got to see what happens with Pereira and Ankalaev, and I can make a decision soon.
Yeah.
So now we're going to talk about the 2 upcoming cards and make our official picks. Okay.
All right, let's do it.
So it's finally a card you want to discuss, baby. Can you see this nice? Okay.
Yes, we do.
So unlike the last show where we had 2 fight nights to deal with, now we have a pay-per-view, baby. Pereira, Ankalaev, and this is how perfect was that we just did light heavyweight, leading up nicely to our pick. So the fans are going to be loving this episode because not only are we just dissecting the entire class, but now we get to make our picks, and it's for the fucking championship of the world. Okay. So, but We got to go low and go up.
Low to high.
That's the thing.
Good.
So really quickly, I want to show you a couple things. We don't need to make prelim picks, but I want to show you. Don't forget Morono.
We got Morono's in there, my boy.
He's fallen on hard times. He's a big-time underdog, but we might have to we're going to root for him. Now, the other call-outs I want to say is the Bruno Ferreira. He's the other guy that I've been telling you about that beat RoboCop. He's a scary middleweight, and I can't believe Petrosian is actually favored. This is maybe going to, oh God. Yeah, I almost forgot to add this one to if you were to touch. I like Ferreira there. Remind me to come back to that when we do that. He's at a plus 120. I mean, I don't, what maybe they think Petrosian is going to wrestle him. I don't know why they're making that pick.
I think that's would be it.
Josh Van is another rising star. He's a great flyweight. I've been watching him for a while. From Myanmar, very impressive hands. You would like him against a new Japanese guy. Now, this is the one that's most perplexing to me.
Yeah, why?
Two things is, why the fuck is Blades taking this fight? So I had to do he's number 5 in the world. Yes, he's coming off the loss to Aspinall, but I think it was a little bit of a premature stoppage. And he had just beat Almeida. He should be getting a top fight. He's fighting. Yeah. And so I had to look up Rizvan. Okay, this is his deal. You're going to love this whole backstory. He was the champ, Eagle FC. Do you know who fucking owns Eagle FC? Your boy, not your boy, Khabib. He was the champ, the heavyweight champ in Khabib's promotion in Russia. He's come over to Dana White's Contender Series. He's mowing through people. And so Blades has the cojones to put his number 5 ranking on the line against this guy. So I guess he has the balls. I don't like that he's doing it. But the other thing that's perplexing to me is, why is this on a fucking prelims? That's the issue for me.
Yeah, I mean, well, listen, Blades is known for his grappling, right?
Yeah, he's a champion wrestler, and he does have good hands. We saw when he mauled Dawkins. He's good on the feet too. He's not, but he's more known as the wrestler.
This is going to be one of those classic situations where, is this Kuniev coming in to fight one of the top in the world and is just going to be sort of like above? It's going to be above his league or not? Or are we going to see the making of the next scary contender, and this fight's going to launch this guy? So we have a lot to look for, but why the hell is Blades?
I don't know why. The only reason why I think he's taking the fight is because the guys above him are clogged, and then I don't know why Dana's putting it on the prelims. Sometimes though, Dana does like to do it, to get more people watching the prelims because it's on regular ESPN. You see, versus and so people might be like, "Oh my God, I get a top 5 guy on ESPN," but I just still don't. I think it's unfair to Blades. I think it's unfair to the fans, and I'll tell you why. Because when you go to the next fight, it should not be on the main card. So it's going to be one of my comments. Weird.
I think it's one of those, like, Liberty's taking one for the team, Blades is taking one for the team, doing and he's that's what it is. It's getting some notoriety to the
it's just very
non-pay-per-view part of the night.
Okay, so with that, we're going to go to the pay-per-view. Your boy King Green, who has officially changed his name, your boy Bobby Green is now known as King Green. You know that, right, Nico? Right? Do you know that?
No, I was not aware that he changed his name to King Green.
Yeah, like officially in the courthouse, baby. So he's going, and so I know you can't see the and so I'll show you right now. You cannot see the odds. So look at this, and actually it's good to see that Blades is a minus 310. So they think that Blades is going to fend off Kuniev. King Green is a big-time underdog. Rufy, this new Brazilian killer, is he's a minus 590. Okay, so I don't like that this is on the main card. To me, this should have been the prelim main event. You put Blades on the main card. I think it's bullshit. But Dana wants exciting fights.
Yeah, Green is he's a known entity. He's kind of like a Holland. I think of him as like a Holland.
Exactly.
These guys that they throw in there that have people love them. There's love watching their fights, and we throw them in. It's a little bit more entertainment value here. But
yes.
I don't know this Rufy. I don't know what he's done. They got a minus 600 here. This is nuts. The question is, who you're going to take here? Are we setting official picks here? Yes or no?
So we're setting official picks here, and I'm taking Rufy because I'm going with Vegas.
I'm going with Rufy too. There's no question. I'm in. That's it.
So, but the funny thing is that like we've done this before, and I took Dawson against him, that new American wrestler, and boom, he won with just a straight right, and was like over, and I'm like, oh my God, why did I doubt this guy? So you never know, but we're both locked in for Rufy. Okay.
Can you imagine what the knockout combo versus for Green will be if Green gets a win and a knockout?
If you were
like
to
if you do
touch
that if you were to touch, the upside of that would be nuts. Okay.
Yeah. Now, this next one's interesting. At least it's high-ranking women. Number 5 in the world at strawweight versus number 7. So Dana's giving us some rankings here. Now, this one's tricky. I had to do a bunch of analysis. Lucindo is on a much better trajectory. I'll just show you really quickly here. Lucindo, if you look at her fight history, she has now... So she's won... Like, check this out. She lost her first fight, which we sometimes see in the UFC all the way back in 2022. Now, she's won 4 straight against Walker, against Viana, against Kowalkiewicz, and then against Rodriguez recently. She's a close one, but she's doing the job. She's won 4 straight. Lemos is a beast. I almost want to take her, and she had really been in the running if you check this out now, but she's kind of fallen on hard times. So she had beaten Karate Hottie Watterson. She had beaten Rodriguez as well. She got the title shot and lost to Wei Li. And then she beat Durno and came back and reset herself, only then to lose to John Jaroba. So I feel like she got submitted. I think this other girl is hot now. It's very close. I'm taking Lucindo. I'm going with a -122. I'm taking the number 7. But Lemos, she's stepping up in class. You know, we talk about this. Lucindo stepping up in class against an old title challenger who's a beast. I don't know.
I'm taking Lucindo.
Okay, you're going to go with me?
I'm going with Lucindo for the reasons you cited. It's just the hotter streak, the younger, hungrier, hot, fighter versus Lemos, who's been struggling a little bit. Not like a disaster, but I'm going to go with the momentum here. With Lucindo's
so we're both taking Lucindo, which means you won't gain any ground on me yet in our picks.
I know it's a tricky one.
But that's fine, but you also don't want to lose ground. You don't want to lose ground by taking a risky fight here.
Now talk to me about this next fight here, Ari.
Yes, so this is big because it's the lightweight division, which always was your favorite division for a very long time. Okay, now I did a lot of research here, okay? Turner, as you know, he's been up and down, okay? So let's just look at his history. So this is cool. He beats Malarkey. He beats Riddle. We both loved Riddle for a little bit. He loses a very close fight to Gamrot. Gamrot out-wrestled him, but barely, man. That was close. Then he's up on Hooker. We took him. Don't forget that. He had him all the way to the end, and then Hooker turned the fight kind of like Gaethje and Fiziev. He turned the fight late in the second, and then wins the third and gets the split decision. You were not happy about that call. You were pissed because I think we had touched Turner heavily. Then Turner resets himself and beats your boy King Green, only to come back and get knocked out by Moicano. But that's because Moicano went on that historic run until recently losing to Islam, and that fire got put out a little bit. So he's still a contender. I like Turner. Now, you look at this new guy, Bahamondes. Okay, check this out. Look at his. Now, also look at his streak that he's on. This is crazy. Okay, so he beats Roberts. He beats Wrong. He beats Ogden. He loses in a close fight to Klein, and Klein really impressed me. I remember I watched that. But then to come back and beat Giagos and Torres. So he's won fucking 5 out of 6 fights. The guy is an up-and-comer, but...
Give me Turner, baby. I'm taking Turner. I am taking Turner. I don't know what you're doing. What are you doing, Ari?
I'm also taking Turner. I'm saying that Bahamondes, he's going up in class too much like we talked about. Turner, yes, he lost to, he only had that tough loss to Hooker, which maybe he won. Okay, he beats King Green. He has the tough loss to Moicano, but that's because Moicano was this rising, unstoppable force for a couple fights. I think he resets himself. He keeps his number 13.
Turner's a beast.
We're both
and this
taking
new guy's
Turner
coming
there.
into face like a beast. It's one of those scenarios I feel where Turner is gonna kind of bring him down to reality a little bit. So that's what I'm going with Turner. Okay.
Now it comes to the big
what
fucking
are you gonna
fights.
do here? Keep it
Let
simple.
me go first. I'll go first.
Go.
Yes, Fiziev, we thought, he was the best striker maybe in the division for a second there, right? It was like he outstruck a bunch of people. He also outstruck Gaethje in that first round. I was like, oh my God, Gaethje can't even deal with him. Holy shit. This is the buzzsaw that is to end all buzzsaws. And then Gaethje turned it around, and I would love that. I lost my mind. It reset my, so since then Fiziev then has the injury loss to Gamrot. Remember, he was actually up in that fight maybe, and then it hurts his knee, I believe. So, but so does he have? He's also coming in on short notice, and he's coming off an injury. Gaethje, meanwhile, had that historic win against Poirier. He got himself into and took that Holloway fight, which he never should have took the fucking Holloway fight. It was a meaningless, stupid, entertaining fight, which will be one of our State of MMA World next time. And he got his nose broken. We don't know if that affected it. So I'm going to go with my boy one last time, baby. I'm touching Gaethje. I think he does. He beats Fiziev. He's coming in on 2-week notice, and he's coming off an injury. And Gaethje's pissed about the nose break. He was embarrassed against Holloway. He gets one more big win here. I'm taking Gaethje. What do you say here, baby?
I'm taking Fiziev. Wow. Okay. I am going against the grain here. I think Fiziev, again, like you said, there was a hot moment not too long ago where he was clear, in my opinion, the number one pure striker, right?
In the pure entire division.
In the entire division.
So you're taking
he's on injury. Yes, he's coming off an injury. Yes, he had, these 2 losses here, but I just feel he will bring a striking game that I'm not sure if Gaethje still has it to be here. This is his last stand. So for me, it's the Fiziev skill, his skill and his prowess as a striker that I'm leaning toward. I'm taking Fiziev.
I love this because now we have a big point of contention. Either you close the distance or the gap gets even larger. Then we get to the main event. We've been talking about it a lot. We don't need to, I think, man, here's the crazy thing. I've been rooting against Pereira a very long time because we were pissed about that he beat Izzy. I didn't like the backstory. I didn't like that people were like bringing it up like that he lost to him kickboxing fucking 6 years ago like it means anything. And they were hyping it up. I'm like, fuck you guys, man. It's a completely different sport. I didn't. So then he goes in and then he actually beats Izzy, even though I didn't like the stoppage maybe. So we didn't like him because of that. Then he gets the bad decision against Blachowicz that also kind of pissed us off. Yes. And then, right, and so, like, he beat a lot of our guys, and, of course, he beats Hill, which pissed you off. So for a while, we have this sort of animosity towards Pereira, but now, over time, I've grown to like the guy because he's proved, if you can prove yourself in the octagon and be that unbelievable and beat that many guys, and then he beat Jiri. That's another one of our guys that he beat. So, of course, we have this sort of feeling towards him, but finally,
he beat Strickland early on. Yeah,
and he beat Strickland. That drove me nuts. But finally, I can sit back and enjoy a Pereira fight because I want him to beat Ankalaev, baby. I'm taking Pereira, and I think because here's the thing. Yes, Ankalaev maybe has a chance to wrestle him. Yes, he is a great striker too. But until I see a motherfucker do it, I bet against Pereira so many goddamn times, and we've lost every fucking time except that one miraculous Izzy victory, right? So I'm going to say until Ankalaev proves to the world that he can be taken down because he's a galoot of a light heavyweight, man. He is a gigantic framed guy, and I don't think Ankalaev can do it just like everybody else couldn't fucking do it besides maybe Blachowicz, who got like a couple partial takedowns on him. So I'm taking Pereira because how do you doubt the guy anymore? What do you say, baby?
I'm taking Pereira.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And I think that, and just to dispel any suspense, Pereira, Ankalaev, it will be a very formidable fight for Pereira. Again, I don't think I'm worried about the ground game of Ankalaev. I think Pereira can stuff it. It's going to be a battle on the feet. I think Ankalaev will make it competitive. I think this one might go 5 full rounds, to be honest. This is not going to, it can go full 5 rounds. And I think Alex Pereira will eke out the victory on points, on strikes, on sort of cumulatively, he will just amass more strikes, more significant strikes, and eke out this victory. I don't think it'll be a decisive one either way, obviously. And I think Alex Pereira will pull it off. I'm taking Pereira. It's going against, like I said, I've had the same feelings you've had. Don't love to take Pereira. He's, I just don't like, I do love his story. I love his background. I love the whole tribal, connection to like this tribal past. He is like the ultimate kind of like fighter, so to speak, if you really think about it, coming from where he's come from and what he's been able to do, just his rise as a human being to be where he is. So great for him. I think Pereira pulls it off. It's going to be awesome. Let's just like sit back and watch this one.
Yeah, exactly. It's just going to be a great fight. I think it's the right fight. It was the right. I like how the UFC is putting the right fight on here, and then we'll see. We'll see what happens. So we only have one fight against each other there for you to gain ground. It really is the Gaethje Fiziev. So let's just jump right to the next card because we were almost done here for the show. Vettori Leads 2 weeks from now, because we always go 2 weeks back, 2 weeks ahead, baby. We got to give the audience what they're asking for. Now, okay, this will get into our Dana's Light cards, but let's go all the way down and we'll work our way up like we do it. And I have a bunch of analysis for you. But one little thing, and I can't believe Dana is doing this again. Our boy that we talked about last show, Waldo Cortez Acosta, who's number 12 in the world, who looks like maybe a future contender. Here's the interesting thing, and you probably don't even know about this yet, baby. I've been saving it. Span, who used to be your boy at 205, he's moving up to heavyweight, which I don't know if I love. He's a lean, but he's very tall. He's 6'4", 6'5". He's not having success at 205. Maybe the weight cut is getting to him, so he's going up to heavy against Waldo Acosta. This is a tricky one. I don't know how this is not on the fucking main card. Maybe it gets flipped later, so we don't have to do our pick on it. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention because we were going through the heavyweight last time, and we didn't. And so I think it's risky for Waldo Cortez Acosta. I don't know why he's doing it. He should be fighting up, not fighting down when you just got in the top 15. So I don't like it unless maybe he just wants to be busy and he wants the money because
he needs the win and the money.
He needs a win, but he's really big. It's very risky. But anyway, fine. So I just wanted you to see that. This is going to be at the Apex, which we're going to have fucking issues with. All right. So what I've done here, because you don't get to see the odds, is I have it on a separate. I'm going to go back and forth. We don't even need to analyze this too much because our boy Su Young Yu, check this out, baby. Our boy Su Young Yu is a minus 700. I don't even need to look at the analysis. I don't even need to look back. If he's a minus 700, Vegas knows something that we don't. He could be a rising Korean superstar. I don't know. Maybe I'm making a crazy proclamation here. I'm taking you without even fucking looking. Nico, are you going with me on this?
Yes. It's done.
I mean, maybe let's just look at Cunningham really quickly. He has his UFC debut and he gets knocked out by my boy Klein. I do remember that fight. I am a Klein fan, so maybe they're thinking, okay, and let's just look at coming off really quickly. Yeah. He's coming off a decision win against Jalesi. So I guess they think that he's. I don't know why he's minus 700.
He must have something.
He must be a highly touted guy.
Yeah.
So we're both taking you. Enough said. Move on. Now, you get to Blackshear Gibson. Now, Blackshear, and this is the backstory on him. He has one of the only twister submission victories in UFC history. It's a crazy move from behind where you literally twist the body. So his jiu-jitsu is fantastic, okay? So I will just show you the odds, really. He's a minus 350. Let's just look at, so we're obviously going to both be taking Blackshear. I'll just show you what he's done here. So he's kind of gone up and he's lost to Batista. He lost to Jackson, but he reset himself against your boy Stamen. Remember you were a Stamen guy for a little bit. He submitted him. So he's kind of gone up and down a little bit, but with that minus 350, I can't go against him. If we look at Cody Gibson, what has he done? He's also, he's won. So he lost to Johns and then he beat Anheliger. I saw that fight. God, so but I guess they just think that Blackshear is just a superior. I can't go against Vegas when it's that much of a minus 350. So I got to take Blackshear. Are you going with me?
I got to close the gap with you. I can't be taking everything. I just can't.
I know. Well, you're going to have to make some tough calls.
I do think Blackshear has an edge here. I'm going to take Gibson as just a wild card.
Wow. And he's coming off a win. He's coming off a win.
Yeah.
All right. That's official, baby. That's going to now be a big fight here. Great fight in the bantamweight division. All right. Now we get to the lightweight bout. Hernandez, Hollowbog. Now, hopefully I'm saying that right. Hollowbog. Now, Hernandez, he's really been he was he looked like he was going to be a lightweight contender. He looked like he was going to be one of your guys, but he's been so up and down. Like, look at this analysis. I checked it out earlier. I mean, it's just been this just sort of disappointing. Loses to Moicano, he loses to Billy Q, but then he comes back and he beats Miller. Always when I think he's about to sort of be cut, he comes back and he gets a win. Then he loses to Algio, he loses to Jackson, but then he comes back and he beats Hubbard. So I'm like, it's like he loses two, he wins one.
Down. He's up
very
and down.
Up and down. Then you have Holobog, who also, he's only is much less that you can see, but he lost, he had lost 3 straight. He looked like his career was done, but then he beats Hubbard, he loses to Ogden, and then he beats Kaczewski. So it's like, fuck, it's sort of the same thing.
I'm taking Hernandez there.
You're going to take Hernandez. Okay,
yeah.
So just for the sake of action, this was the one fight. I feel like every time I take Hernandez, he blows it for me. So I'm going to take Holobog, baby. All right. And then we'll have a point of contention there. I'm taking a slight underdog just to get a little excitement in this card here. So that gives you a chance. If you hit Gibson and Hernandez in a row, all of a sudden you're back right in the fucking mix,
I've narrowed that gap. That's
going to be a very interesting run of fights. Now, we got Sang-Woo Choi versus Vallejos. Now, you're not even going to... This is also... Let me just show you the odds over here. Vallejos is a minus 325. I did some analysis. Choi, I just don't think you can touch him. I think he's lost 3 straight. Oh, no. Okay, so he loses to Trezana. Oh, I like Trezana. I remember that fight. He then wins against Aarons. He comes back, but then only to lose to Garcia. But Garcia is beating everybody. He's this new amazing KO specialist. So, fuck. And I think he was in the fight, but then he got caught. This one's tricky. Then you look at Vallejos. And, oh, wow, this is his UFC debut. But I'm going to go with Vegas. I think Choi is way too up and down. I'm taking Vallejos at what were the odds again? I mean, he's just too heavily, he's a minus 325. It's like, I can't go against him. So I got to take Vallejos. What do you say here?
I'm taking Vallejos too.
Yeah,
it's exactly what you said. Choi's a little bit up and down. I'm not feeling it from him. I think Vallejos, again, his debut, this gonna cement, make his mark to start.
Yeah. So the Argentinian's probably going to come in. Choi has a chance. He was highly touted at one point, but he's just too up and down. So now we get to the final 2 fights. And let's just pause for a second.
Can we just say this is like one of the weakest cards? Let's just be honest. This is a weak card. I've never seen a weaker card, honestly. It's like weaker than this past.
I disagree. Yeah. I like Vittori Doliz way more than Kop Almabayev because this is a middleweight division, which is because it's the top division in the world.
Vittori's done. Come on.
It's 8 versus 11, and Doliz is on a run, bro. I don't like as far as the excitement. I put middleweight way over flyweight. So to me, this is movement in middleweight. Vittori was a top 5 guy. Doliz is a killer. This is a much better fight than the Kop Almabayev in my eyes for excitement. So I can't...
Give me Doliz right there. I'm calling Doliz. All right? Where do you stand?
We're not even there yet. We're not even there yet. So
I skipped it, okay? Because that's the one that's really caught my eye here.
Yeah, Give me Doliz. The funny thing is you don't know what I'm doing on that yet. But anyway, we'll come back to that.
Okay.
So the co-main is Njokuani dos Santos. Now, here's the thing. I've been pained over this decision, okay? Because Njokuani, he's a great striker. He looked like he really had a lot, okay? But he loses to your boy RoboCop. He loses to Duriov. He gets wrestled. He then loses again by KO. It looks like he's done. But now he's beaten McKee. He's beaten Gooden. Back-to-back fights. And I'm like, okay, so maybe he's resetting himself. But Dos Santos, I remember this guy. I love this guy. He really impressed me because, okay, you go back. He beats St. Denis. He beats Salikov. He beats a different Nurmagomedov. Then he has that unbelievable draw. This fight against Ferritin was unbelievable because I remember Ferric was up big and he rallied to get the draw. Then he loses to Rude Boy, but Rude Boy is a star. And then he beats Scroggin. So he's got a lot of wins. But I'm scared that anytime you get in there with Njokuani, there's a chance he wins by some crazy elbow. But let me just show you what the odds are. Dos Santos, and this is what's swaying me sadly, is a minus 225. I think he's done better against better guys. So I'm going Dos Santos, but very cautiously.
I'm going Dos Santos. That's where I'm leaning.
So we both take Dos Santos.
Because Njokuani, like you said, he has to rely on some crazy shot. But I think Dos Santos might be the all-around sound, like just a more sound fighter all around, have more of an all-around game. So I'm leaning Santos there, Dos Santos.
So then we get to the main event, which you're denouncing. I don't like that. Let's just take a look at what Vettori's done here. Now,
come on.
So here's the thing. He like the big fight that really I remember that really impressed me. This was a long time ago. That you're right, against Hermanson. Man, he just socked him up. He outboxed him. He was unbelievable. Then he beats Holland. He gets all the way against Izzy for the title, right? And he loses. He gets outstruck, but he was in the fight. Then he beats Costa. He resets himself, and then
that was a very, very close fight.
That was a very close fight.
Very close fight. Costa could have easily got that call.
Yeah, but no, his hands were fantastic. I love Vettori from that. And you were pissed about it because you took Costa stupidly, and you went with who you touched.
Whitaker's win there against Vettori. I loved that.
That was an amazing performance by Whitaker, and it looked like, oh my God, where the fuck was the Vettori of the Costa fight? Of the Hermanson fight? I was like, where the fuck is his hands? He couldn't deal, and it showed Whitaker was so superior. Then, this is what pissed me off. He goes against Dolides. Dolides used to be at 205. Dolides has cut down. And Dolides won that fight. Yes, Vettori was in it. And it was the bad decision. I was so pissed about it. I was like shocked that they gave it to him. And then Cannonier beats him. So you're right. He's fallen on hard times, but he's gone against the world's best. You got to give him credit that he's all his matchups. Look at that line of matchups. I mean, all the killers from the middleweight division. Now you look at Dolides. Okay? Now, you got to give him a proper shake. Dolides used to be up at 205. He's come down. He beats Hawes. He beats Hermanson. He has the bad decision loss against Vettori, which I thought was bullshit. He loses to Imavov, and then you're like, okay, maybe this guy's done. But then he goes up to 205. He beats Smith, and he comes down, and he knocks out Holland. He looks like a scary savage. And I'm like, so I'm going to go with you and take Dolides.
Are you? Wow.
Who is the underdog, because you stole my secret pick. Vettori is the minus 120. Dolides is the plus 100. I'm taking my boy Dolides.
That's essentially a push.
It is, but I'm still taking him because I thought he won the first fight. Vettori hasn't fought in over a year. He's going to have ring rust. Dolides is the savage. Yeah. Maybe Vettori resets his career. I don't see it happening. I'm taking Dolides with you. I'll give you the opportunity to switch your pick if you do want to switch it because you gave it too early.
Staying with Dolides, but now, as I'm saying it out loud, I'm thinking, Vettori might just say, listen, guys, I'm the experienced fighter. I've been here. You're not going to just come, toss me around.
I think once you lay, though. You can't change it now. You got it. Yeah, once you lay.
And I wondered his Imavov performance.
I remember it now. He got outworked. And I was shocked because I thought Dolides was going to run through everybody. And Imavov, the grappling and the hands, he just wore him down, and he socked. And I was just shocked that he lost that fight. But then Dolides he reset himself very nicely in the final two fights, and I think he's back. He looks to his old scary self.
All right.
So
we're good. We've got it. We've got this locked up.
All right. So the final section is if you were to touch. We're just going to do it really quickly. I only have a couple for the audience, and I'm going to go back to this card, and I'm going to flip it. Last time what we did was we gave these underdogs that were big payout money, but they were going to be value bets that you were going to make some money off. They were going to be good payouts. Here I'm going to do the opposite, and I'm going to say Pereira. If you can ever get Pereira at only a minus 115, how can you not touch him, even against an Ankalaev who might be able to wrestle him? That to me is it's basically a push, as you said. It's basically even. And so that's a huge if you were to touch in my eyes. Okay,
yeah, that's a good one.
Then,
I like.
Would you agree with that to get that value for a Pereira?
You get for Pereira, you're getting basically straight up a straight bet. It's just a straight bet right in.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. Then I also will say that if you can get Gaethje at minus 155 against a guy who's coming in, who he's already beat, it was very close, but he's coming on 2-week notice, and if this is not a minus 200 or not a minus 300, Gaethje to me is also a great if you were to touch. Because yes, he coming off that loss, but Vazeev is coming off the injury. The broken nose, I feel like still...
I don't know.
It contributed to the loss. I like Gaethje on the if you were to touch.
It's a very risky one because of what happened to him last outing,
but hey,
and what happened between the two of them last outing, and how
I just still think the value though.
That. Yeah, maybe
for a number 3 in the world, he's not. And then now that I'm scrolling, I will also say a Jalen Turner to basically be even. Against, yes, the guy was won 4 straight, but you're the number 13 in the world. Yes, you're coming off the loss to Moicano, but to get that kind of a value for a Jalen Turner, I like it. And then the last one that I'm going to say is, actually, there's 2 on this card.
We should just do them.
Waldo Cortez Acosta. Okay, this guy. Let's look at where he is. He's only minus 160 against a Span who's coming off on a bunch of losses. I mean, he actually had reset himself. He won his last fight. He did reset himself and he won his last fight, but he's coming up to heavyweight. This is very risky. I like Waldo Cortez Acosta. That's a good if you were to touch. And then the final one I'll say is probably Doleeds. He's actually the plus 100 here. He should have won the first fight in my eyes. Vittori is coming off an over a year layoff. He's not the same guy. That's another great if you were to touch. Would you agree with that?
What's the odd minus?
He's plus 100. I mean, like he's plus 100. Vittori's the minus 120. The guy hasn't fought in over a year.
It's a safe.
And he beat him in the first fight in my eyes. It was a terrible decision.
He's good. It's good. It's solid. I like it.
It's a good, yeah. So those are pretty good if you were to touches. So with that, my good man, that was our show.
We just devoured all, the whole thing, straight top to bottom.
We've never been so detailed.
We went back, we went forward, we went deep, loved it. Looking forward to is it next week where we have the massive card?
Ankalaev.
So now we're not going to get a chance. You're going to get a chance to talk about it on your solo outing. You get a little jump start on reactions to that one.
Yes.
And then we'll follow up a week after that. So exciting, Ari. Good stuff. Great show.
Yes. Well, thank you for coming on. We've never been more detailed. To steal SportsCenter's line, our research is better than yours. We're so detailed at the Wally Report and at MMA Savvy. So with that, thank you for listening to the Wally Report, the world's hottest podcast. Please subscribe, follow, comment, like, share, and blast. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on YouTube. We're blasting hard on the talk, and we're heavy on the gram at The Wally Report. That's at The Wally Report. We've been posting amazing video clips from all of our episodes on social channels, so don't miss out. And please make sure to comment on Spotify, comment on Instagram, comment on TikTok, comment on YouTube. Bash us if you want to disagree with the picks, baby. We love the comments and interactions with the fans. So with that, we're going to jam out to our tune one last time.